of a coalition of 6 male lions, but they are not alone. They are surrounded by many, many, many hyenas. And I am surprised that this number of hyenas has been unable to scuttle the lions. Scatter them, I don't mean scuttle them, as in sink them like a ship. And there are lots there, and there are lots more to the left, and there seem to be more. I would have put these guys at around about 3.5 years old, the lions, but they're obviously too much of a terrifying prospect for the hyenas. Although that said, the hyenas here eat so much. So look at them streaming in from the... streaming, 2 or 3 of them, more of them coming in from just over the top there. Those aren't hyenas, are they? They seem to be warthogs. It's also making their way to the carcass. Anyway. We were given reports of this by somebody. He pointed at a tree and he said, under there, just go there, you'll find lions eating. And sure enough, under the tree, well, near the tree, the lions are eating. Now, we operate here almost entirely without a radio because the radio here operates with rapid-fire Swahili, which I certainly can't pick up just yet. I think Scott's probably got a relatively good chance of picking it up, but we just drive past people, they point, and then you find it is amazing. And that sort of ground or landscape that you can see way in the distance, that's the escarpment upon which we live, and that's the Mara Triangle, so that's the other side of the Mara River. Rather spectacular. Mike, you're wondering about alpha lions and how many there can be in one pride. Mike, there's no such thing as an alpha lion. They don't have a strict hierarchy in these coalitions, and you'll find that a male or any lion hierarchy is defined almost entirely by the size of the lion. The bigger the lion is, the more dominant the lion will be. And so you'll find a coalition like this where they're most likely brothers or cousins. They're almost always just about the same size, so there is no hierarchy. Now, remember that males, Mike, are not part of the pride. One of the greatest, while The Lion King was a fantastic love story, it was a horrific biological story. And so one of the great misconceptions about lion biology is that males are part of the pride. They are not part of the pride. They are extra to the pride, and they will dominate a number of prides. So a coalition of 6 like this, which is almost certainly still nomadic. I doubt that these guys have a pride yet. They are in the territory of the Triangle Boys, I think. No, we may be, probably the Triangle Boys, or we might be on the boundary of the Musketeers, or even a coalition further off towards the east. But these guys will be keeping a low profile. Then eventually, when they're big enough, they'll chase off the resident males of whatever area they happen to be in at the time, and they will then dominate a pride or 2 prides or a coalition of 6 if they manage to hold it together. Well, probably 3 or 4 prides. But they are not part of the pride. Now, Nikki, you say when will they be big enough to take over a territory? It all depends on the territory, who owns it at the time, and whether they stay together. A little a coalition of 6 would probably take over a territory more quickly than a coalition of 2 or 3, for example, because, of course, they can defend themselves. They're much more effective as fighters, and they're much more prepared to take risks. So I think that this group, when they hit sort of 4.5 or 5 years old, maybe, I think that they would be well capable of taking a territory. And we saw the same with the Birmingham boys back at Djuma. They were 5 to start with, and they put those Matimba males to flight very quickly, and they were still quite young. They were about 5 years old, I thought, when they came into our area, which was in the winter 2 years ago, which immediately puts them at 7. Isn't that amazing? Can't believe they've been with us 2 years already. Hello, Mr. P in Canada. You're wondering about the distance between the hyenas and the lions. I'd say the closest hyena is probably about 100 feet or so away, 30 meters, maybe 40 meters. They'll get bolder and bolder as time goes on. They may also have already eaten a bit from this carcass. Well, they'll sort of edge closer and closer, almost imperceptibly, until one of the lions loses his temper, and then they'll sort of scarper off into the grassland. Now, Mita, you're just 8 years old, and I wonder if I didn't hear from you during our TV show. I think I did. I think that you named our lioness. You named her... Wait, I'll find out. We can see, Mita, I think about 15 or so hyenas in this area. I'd say we'll get Fergus to pan from side to side and you can count them for us. I'm just checking here for myself. Yes, it was Mita, 8 years old. You said Jelani, or Mighty, is what we should call the lioness that has the 2 little cubs and the nick out of her left ear. Thank you for getting hold of us. I'm glad you're watching us on the internet as well. That's great. You make sure you ask us another question when we're on air on TV this week, if your folks allow you to stay up that late again. That's marvellous, isn't it? Great. I'm going to quickly count the hyenas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can see 10, but there are lots of them with their heads down below the grass. There's 11. Yeah, I'm going to say at least 15 have been around here. Some of them have left already. They've given up, decided that they will go and find something of their own to go and eat. And while you're looking at the lions, I'm just looking at the map of where I am. Righty. We're on a ridge. We're on a ridge. The area that down there beyond that tree is called the Paradise Plain, where, of course, the Paradise Plains pride lives. I couldn't get the word pride out of my mouth. Paradise Plains pride. They live there. Very sad not to have bought my own map. I'm having to use Leo Smith's, which is in, well, shall we say, in some state of disrepair. And I'm just looking now at as we need to cross the Talek River at some stage, which will be very exciting. Hopefully it is not in flood. Now, Michelle, you're saying, will the hyena go after the warthog that cunningly disguised themselves as hyena? Well, there is your answer, Michelle. No. You'll find that one hyena would have very little chance catching a warthog. A warthog is very fast. And I don't think that a single hyena, especially with the prospect of the meat there that is on offer, would be able to catch a warthog at full flight. Those look like two young fellows testing themselves against the mighty predators of the Mara. I'll tell you what would go for them, those lions. If they got too close, they'd have to be very careful. Alrighty, we're going to sit here with the lions for a little bit longer. While we do that, Tristan has an update for you, I believe. I'm not sure what he's looking at.